interesting. So let's start off. We have talked about in this whole section over the last seven lessons that we've had. It's all been about the laws, right? The first 7 lessons were all about you and the parts that compose you. This section has been about the universe, yeah, and the laws. And we've learned an awful lot along the way. We've talked about the law of 7, which is what in scientific or common terms. What have we identified as the law of 7 deals with?
Deals with the 1 through 3 shock, 5 through 7 shock, sort of cycles of. It's like the overall picture of how something starts, then accumulates, then has to be reset, and then over and over again. It's like the cyclic nature of creation.
Yeah,
I'm saying exactly in my words here, so
the easy way to say that, right, is it has to do with manifestation in space and time, or I should say change in space and time. It's I mean, we have 7 days of the week. It's an easy way to remember that that it deals with time. It deals with the progression of something from its fullness to its creation, or from its emptiness to its fullness, depending on which way in time you go, right? The law of 3 has to do with what? It's the matter energy aspect of things. I mean, you do realize, right, that this is the existence, this is the reality that we live in. We live in space and time, and we live in a world with material in it, with things in it. Yeah, and so for something to manifest in space and time, it has to have 3 forces that come together. And so we've kind of gone over these various things from various things from many different aspects and standpoints to get you to understand the fundamental aspect of it. But what we haven't talked about is the other law. So when you draw the Enneagram, you start with the circle, having to do with the law of unity. Then you have the triangle. And then you have the law of 7 inside, which is the repeating decimal of that 1 divided by 7 equals this repeating decimal of 1, 4, 2, 8, 5, 7, and back to 1 is the manifestation, or the symbol, right, for the law of 7. The triangle being the 3 numbers, 3, 6, and 9, which don't appear in that sequence of the 1, 4, 2, 8, 5, 7, and having to do with dividing unity by 3. So the one thing that we haven't talked about is the law of 1, the law of unity. Yeah. What do you suppose that is? This is probably the most important of the 3 laws that comprise your physical reality, because as you'll see by the end of this lesson, it has to do with life and death and love and everything in between. But what's your current concept? If you were to begin to formulate this idea in yourself of what the law of unity, the law of 1 must be, how do you suppose it would express itself on our level? Well, first of all, how would it express itself in the cosmic level? Talking about Do, where there's 1 law. It's the only law. You see this, right? Yeah, up here, 1 law. I mean, what would that look like?
A dot.
A dot, sure, yeah. Where everything is homogeneous. Everything is the same. Nothing changing, right? And so you can see the position of the shock out there is, it's not something that occurs in our reality, is it? Goes through a bunch of transformations before it gets to us, which, as we've discussed before, our level of consciousness actually falls, if you consider yourself as part of the human population, it falls under 96 laws, not 48 laws. That's the planet. She's above us in that respect. Humanity, in general, has 96 laws, and we'll go over what those are. But at our level, how do you suppose it begins to manifest itself? And can you think of anything singular in your reality? I mean, is there one me? Can you say that Pierce as a composite entity is singular? Can you? A way of saying that in terms of humanity or in terms of your personal experience would be you and I. If God is to split, then it immediately, just kind of by default, ends up with this idea of you, it, and I, it and self, right? The observer and the observed. Yeah, good. But we're still talking about this up here. Still talking about this kind of unity. And actually, it's a bit more complicated than that, because when it splits, it becomes three. It's the before, the unity, and then a you and an I, or observer observed, which is why you get to the three laws. But at this level, you see, we have so many singularities, right? Pierce is a singularity. Mark, you're a singularity. You are you. Yeah. I can't say that there's another one of you on the planet right now. We have a sun in our solar system. We have a moon orbiting the Earth. You see, so all of our unities are relative. And one thing that I want you to begin to understand is the nature of equilibrium at different levels in the ray of creation. I have the word equilibrium written up there, which is probably a better way to put the law of one, just like time space is a better way to put the law of seven, or energy matter is a better way to put the law of three, equilibrium. Now, equilibrium means that everything that goes up must come down. You've heard it otherwise expressed as everything returns to the source of its arising. Every impulse ends up creating its opposite.